like on a typical DXpedition, you're working a lot of stations, and you want to make
Yeah.
sure that you get a QSL card out to them, don't you? So,
Yeah.
is that sort of the rough amount that you would? Is that sort of the rough amount of contacts you'd have? Sort of like 7,000 to 8,000, as you said, or
It depending. If I excuse me a second while I reach around behind me here, Hayden, grab this book here, and we're looking at my logbook for ZL8 or from the Kermadec Islands way back. I put it into a logbook like this, and this is the way in which we did the logging in those days. So
yeah, right.
You didn't have electronic logging at all. So it was a case of case of me trying to put myself up in there for so people can see. So in this case, I would put the date that I'm starting off on, the band or something like that, starting off of, and then the time that I started my first QSO, and then I make 10 QSOs across the page here, come back and put the time in again. Then make another 10 QSO, then put the time in again, and then make another 10 QSOs. I know jolly well when I get a card and it's somewhere between 2352 and 2355 that call will be somewhere in that line there.
So you generally would you'd be responding to QSLs that were coming in rather than, and in that way you could correlate the time to what it roughly would be. Yeah.
Yes, on the DXpedition, in this case, for page after page after page after page after page, and there's 400 QSOs per page. So
notice there was a lot of JA stations in the in the log there, or a few pages back. Look.
That complete lot. There's JA all on 15 meters, all in one session. So yeah, there's a huge lot there.
Because you mentioned about me getting QSL cards, so it took me such a long amount of time to do that. But the reason I did it was because I would work maybe about 20 JA stations, and you'd receive almost a QSL card from each one of them in the mail when you work them on 6 or 10 meters during an opening, and I've got quite a backlog that I need to get through. So I thought I better respond to them.
Well, from a DXpedition point of view, I normally respond to QSL cards received, and they'll come via the mail. And if they come via the mail, in those days they came with an IRC, which gave you, which you could then redeem that IRC at the post office for postage and send the card back to the person, or they'd send some American dollar bills for the same thing. And then, of course, you get a huge influx of cards via the bureau, which I would respond, and they would go back via the bureau. So back to the actual card. Yeah, in those days, those are the sorts of cards I had, which were pretty basic and so on. Now, time and a half goes by, and printing costs come down and so on like that. And so my card nowadays is a nice printed card like this. This is for my home call sign, and I've got some of the DXpeditions listed here, and I've got the map with them radiating around here. I've included the Auckland Islands, and this one I think goes off around the world, around the other side to the Maldive Islands and things like that. So even this becomes out of date pretty quickly, but that's the card that I have nowadays. Now, guys, if we're talking the old guys and so on, they go, yeah, ho hum. New guys, if you really want to get a printed QSL card and so on, a couple of really things you really need to take a bit of care of. And there's one, have your call sign on the front of the card, plain and bold, and so on. But you can do the DXpedition or the other guy at the other end a real big favor by also having your QSL, your call sign on the reverse side of the card as well. So therefore, he doesn't have to be doing this sort of thing to be able to try and to find out who he's writing a card back to.
Yep.
I also have my CQ zone, the ITU zone. Those are helpful for those guys that are wanting certificates and so on like that. I pre-print some of the stuff. I know it's going to be 20 something. I put CWSSB and JT65. Obviously, JT65 was the flavor of the at the time when I got these cards printed, and it just makes it quick and easy. This particular card, I also use. It's a multi-purpose card because I can use it for a few other things. From time to time, like you do over in Australia, you can have a special call. I think it's a AX.
Yep.
AX7
Special event.
For a special event. Well, we can do ZM over here for a special event as well. So what I do is I do that.
The old cheeky sticker
ZM
over the
card. Right. And a little while ago, I celebrated having an amateur radio call for, guess what?
40 years. Oh, wow.
40 years. So I produced a card like that. Now, that's all very fine and well, and it's really good. A good, cheap, easy way of making one card fit several different purposes.